paint shops have been coming out with new versions fairly often, and some of them aren't necessarily big improvements. I've been using Paint Shop since way before Corel bought it out, back to probably version 3 or something. But if you're using Paint Shop Pro, it depends on the version you're using. Some of the older versions, when you turn it on, will pop up a special offer. And I took advantage of this, and I'm taking advantage of it continually, because for $29.99, no, $24.99, $25, you can get the full-blown version of Paint Shop Pro 2018, and I consider that to be a worthwhile upgrade. One of the things that's happened with Paint Shop over the last many years, going from X3 to X4 to X9, is the program seems to have gotten more and more complicated, more and more features and whatever. Well, what they've done with Paint Shop Pro 2018, apparently they've listened to their customers about this thing's getting completely out of hand. So now, when we go into Paint Shop, it comes up with a welcome menu. I'm going to turn this magnifier off, it's annoying me. It comes up with this welcome menu and gives you a list of recent files. It also gives you the opportunity to see what's for sale, or you can get more for a modest price. You can get add-ons to it, or you can look at submissions by artists, or you can get into here to tutorials on various aspects, or from the start menu, we now have 2 different options for user interface. One of them is called Essentials, and the other is called Complete. Let's see if I open up a new drawing with the Essentials interface. Let's pick this one. Open. So this interface, if you've been using Paint Shop, you notice is simplified quite a bit. There's a small toolbar instead of lots and lots of tools down the side. There's a small one dedicated to the things that you're likely to need, and there's a materials list that's quite simple compared with what the earlier version Paint Shop Pro or X9 is. You can do a lot of things with this. Last week we had the relatively unusual situation here in Waverly where we had fall leaves in nice colors very late in the season combined with sunshine. And so last week I took my camera and I went for a walk, and I started out by the swimming pool, and I looked out the swimming pool window and I said, that's interesting, fall leaves out the window. But let's make it more interesting. Well, let me make it more interesting by switching to the Complete interface instead of the Essentials interface. Let me go back home and let me select the Complete workspace, and let's say open a file. We'll see what I get this time. I'll open the same file. Now this looks a little more like the earlier versions, with a long list of tools on the left side and a lot of things on the menu bar on the top side. So this picture, sort of okay, but it would be a lot better if I would have been able to stand in a place where I was looking straight out the window and it wasn't tapered on the sides. Well, not to worry. I have a tool for that here. There's a tool here called Perspective Correction. And what I have to do is I have to drag the corners of this to the corners of the window in this case, and let's drag this one over here to this corner and line that funny little perspective shape, sort of squarish. I'm going to tuck this one over here a little bit more. And now when I accept that by clicking on a check mark, it's going to go, boom. Okay, now it's squared off. So now when I decide to crop this, let me start here and crop it like this and say accept, and now I've got a straight on view of that window, perspective corrected, and that's kind of handy. Wonder what would happen if I sharpened that up a little bit. So I'm going to choose this tool that says Smart Photo Fix, and I'm going to go over here and say, let's drag this to be a little bit sharper. It's kind of a subtle difference, hard to tell there. But since it's fall leaves, what I'd really like to do is make this a little more dramatic. So I'm going to adjust the hue and saturation with a vibrancy tool, and I can make it really crazy, or I can make it not crazy at all. I think about a 50 is about right. So now I've taken that picture of a black surrounding window, straightened it out, got rid of the perspective, cleaned it up, improved the color saturation a bit, and with just a few clicks. While I was walking around, no, I don't want to save that. While I was walking around, I took this picture, and that looks like somebody walking around taking pictures, and it's not really a great picture. One of the things, it looks like I was sort of drunk when I took it. It looks like it's kind of leaning downhill here. Not to worry. Right next to the perspective correction tool is a straighten tool. And so I can take that tool, if I can find the ends of it, and I can line it up here. So when I accept that, I'll kind of straighten that out. Now this works particularly well if you have a water scene where the far side of the ocean is going downhill. This tool is really handy to fix that. Okay, now let me do some cropping. The cropping tool in this version is a little more sophisticated than it has been. I can do the standard freeform cropping. However, if you're an art student and you study composition, artistic composition, you will find that, what happened to my tool? Don't want to do that. You'll find that there are some other kinds of cropping you can do. Rather than the freeform, one of the options is to crop it to different aspect ratios. It depends on what I want to do with this picture. If I want to make 5:7 prints, I would like to have it 5:7 aspect ratio. Or if I was going to make 4:5 or 8:10 or 3:5s or whatever. I'm going to design this for maybe to be a part of my screensaver, and the screen is 16:9 aspect ratio nowadays. So I'm going to set this crop to 16:9. The other thing in composition is that there are different traditional rules for composing pictures. One is called the rule of thirds, and in that rule, the centers of interest are supposed to be where those lines intersect. And if I had a flower here that was there, it would be better, or flower, it might be better at that place than it would be over here or not at the line of intersection. Another composition tool, the one that I'm going to use tonight, is called the golden spiral. And now I'm going to use that. The idea of the golden spiral is how the viewer's eye will flow through the composition. And I'm not quite getting this focus at the end of the street, but I'm getting kind of close. So 16:9 aspect ratio, golden spiral, accept that, zoom out a little bit. Now what I want to do is I want to do this sharpen thing a little bit. And maybe blacken maybe the shadows a little bit darker. Make it a little bit more dramatic. Okay, and then for a fall scene, I like to use this hue and saturation vibrancy thing. And let me save this with a different name, just because. A1, because I want to open up that original picture again. Now here was my original picture, and here's my 30-second modification. So which one would you frame and put on your wall? This one, This one I think goes on the refrigerator a little better. But there's more. I'm kind of annoyed by these cars here. So I'm going to take my darken tool, and I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to make those cars kind of fade into the background a little more by darkening them up some so that they don't jump out at my eye. And this tree, I mean, it would be nice if that tree had more color to it, right? So I'm going to grab my clone brush, and let me make it a little bigger here for this purpose. And I'm going to capture some of those leaves, and I'm going to put them over here. And I can have all kinds of fun with this. So I can brighten up the corner where that tree lives. So again, there's all kinds of things you can do with your pictures. Occasionally, people will see the pictures I have as screensavers, and they'll say, gee, you've taken a couple of good pictures. And my secret is that maybe I took a picture like this and made it better. And once you play with a program like Paint Shop Pro, you can do this exercise fairly well. Let's get rid of those and take this one step farther, or do one other picture here. Walking around, snapping pictures. Let's see. There's one over here. Oh yeah, this one. Is that before or after? That's the after picture. Where's my before? Okay, here's my before picture. This is, you know where this is. This is over by the side of the court. Kind of boring. Let's do the crop thing again. And how will I do this? Let me just rearrange this. Yeah, I want to get rid of that car. I want to keep the center of interest kind of at the vanishing point, the visual vanishing point in this picture. And I'll zoom in a little bit. And once again, I'll do my sharpen trick. Make things a little bit sharper. And once again, I'll do my vibrancy trick. And I like the sky getting bluer like that. However, the phone company did not do me any favors when they put this little post over here, a little access to their phone. But when I look in close, not only does the phone company have that ugly thing there, there's this dead branch sticking up. Okay, next to the clone brush, I have something called a scratch remover tool. And if I take that and I drag it across this branch, just like that. What this tool is doing, I have to zoom in a lot more to see. You notice that there's 3 divisions on this thing that I'm dragging. There's a center section and there's 2 outside sections. What it's going to do when I let go of the mouse is it's going to take the stuff that lives in the outside sections and move them into the center section where that stick is. Pop. Pop goes the weasel. Okay, now what about this phone company nonsense? Okay, now I have to go to my clone brush. Whoops, not there. Clone brush. And that's probably too big. Let's make the clone brush about 48. And let me grab some grass there and put it there. I have to be careful or I'm going to clone that tree. I don't mean to do that. So I have to reset my clone brush. Whoops, I did it again. Control Z. Okay, now I'm going to make my clone brush smaller. And I don't know how big, have to experiment with that. And I'm going to clone the road here and get rid of that. Now I've gotten rid of that a little annoying thing. And that's so much fun. Before I hang it on the wall, it deserves a frame, right? Okay, let me go to my frame tool and choose what kind of frame I want. Well, I've got a bunch of frames here. And by the way, if you upgrade to 2018, you'll get an email and it will give you a link to a creative collection, a whole bunch of additional frames and little tools for your, what is this thing called? Later. A bunch more tools. Some of these are mats. A lot of people like to mat their frames or their pictures. Let me try a gold mat and say, okay. And so now I've got this matted in gold. Oh, that's having so much fun here. Let's take it one step farther. Let's go find another frame. Let's do the ornate frame and see what happens. And let's see if I can view a full screen preview. So, walking around campus, snap a couple pictures, take them home, put them into Paint Shop, and do amusing things with them. Ask me a question, if you will. I'm a big fan of Paint Shop Pro, especially for $24.99 a copy. Here's one that I did earlier as an example of going from this picture to that picture, which you saw happen in a few steps. If I create a new thing, I'll create a new 19 by 20 blank picture. I was going to show the picture tube tool. And the picture tube tool has a bunch of picture tubes that you can use. For example, maybe I want to put a little grass in this scene. Where's the grass? Grass. I know there's grass here somewhere. Probably under G's. Yeah, there's some grass. Okay, so grass, 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 grass. Little grass there. Let's go find a tree. That's probably under T for trees. They're in alphabetical order here. P, Q, R, S. Where are my trees? Vegetation I'm not ready for yet. Trees. Here we go. Oops, I lost it. I ended up with tags instead of trees. Okay, I'm going to plant a few trees here. Maybe I want a smaller tree, you might say. So it turns out that I can scale the tree. Here's a 50% tree. And maybe I want to throw in a hedge or two here. And the other thing I can do is I can choose some different color, or in this case, I'll choose some cloudy image and use my flood tool to paint the sky blue and cloudy. Oops, I shouldn't be painting down there. And before I quit having fun here with the picture tube, I think I should, no, I don't want to put a turkey in it. Maybe I saw a puppy dog up here someplace. Oh yeah, it's always good to have a cute puppy dog sitting in here somewhere. So you can easily amuse yourself with this program, and there are endless possibilities and endless fun that you can have with Paint Shop Pro 18. Ask me a question. Make a comment. Wake up, please. The question is, how much more difficult is this than Paint Shop Pro 3? Everything that you already know how to do in Paint Shop Pro 3, X3, you'll be able to do here. So you don't have to unlearn anything. One of the nice things about it is that you have the option when you start up of using, if you don't want to be faced with lots of tools. This is especially good for people who are just getting started with Paint Shop Pro. If you choose the Essentials version, you'll get a simplified version of the interface. And not nearly as many tools to deal with. These are just the essential ones. If there's one that you use a lot, you can click here and you can go find it and add it to this little toolbar. But this is much quicker and easier to get into, start using, because you can pick a paintbrush. If you get off the magnifying glass, you pick a paintbrush and start painting. Well, I'm painting with this color up here. Maybe I would rather paint it with red. And size of the brush you can change, just like before. And there's a little arrow here, so we also have an airbrush style thing we can do with it. And the fill tool is there still, so if I go over here and pick the fill color, and then I say fill, it'll do that. Or fill with, whatever color. There's foreground and background colors. That works the same as your old X3 version works. But this version with this easier interface is good for beginners. And then once you get beyond that, it's very quick and easy to switch to the complete version. And there are other things. This comes up by default, the Learning Center. So every tool you click on, for example, if I click on that straighten tool, this over here is giving me coaching on how to use the straighten tool and what I can do with it. Whatever tool I click on. The red eye tool, if you're into doing a lot of pictures of family and the flash bounced off their eyes and gave them red eyes, there's a tool here to fix that pretty quick and easy. Lots of tools on here, but this guy will teach you how to use them as you go. Or you can put that away and have more space for drawing. So I would say if you've been using any earlier version of Paint Shop Pro, you won't have much trouble adapting to this, but you will have some other things available that you didn't have before, and they're not too hard to get to. So once you've learned a few tricks with Paint Shop, you can go from this picture to that picture and not too much trouble. And you can make pictures that look like this, or this, or this, or this, and that's all for now. Thank you very much for your patient attention.